Dimitri Antonopoulos is the co-owner and head of marketing for Experience Old Montreal, the website of the Antonopoulos Group, a family-owned hospitality company that runs a number of restaurants, spas, and boutique hotels in the historic center of Montreal. According to the company's website, it has 1,500 employees. Its hotels include the Auberge du Vieux-Port, the NELLi, and the Place d'Armes Hotel. And if you've ever sat on a rooftop or a terrace in the Old Port, you've probably been to one of the company's locations, which includes the Terrasse NELLi, the Terrasse William Gray, and Terrasse Place d'Armes. Their restaurants hit a range of price points with menus that are usually on trend. The most recent update to the company's collection is NELLi, a natural wine bar in the NELLi Hotel that opened a few weeks ago. It features chia pudding and avocado tartine for breakfast, poke bowls, chicken Caesar salads, and kale power bowls for lunch. And for dinner, there's gourmet bistro fare like salmon tartare with tarragon pistou, katsu chicken sandos, grilled sirloins, burgers, and whole roast chicken with sweet potato fries and orange and ginger sauce. No restaurants have been getting through COVID easily, but it does seem that some have been faring better than others, especially ones that are part of restaurant groups, which is what I want to talk to Dimitri about today, as well as how you market a restaurant event right now, which is what he's doing with the month-long happening Gourmand. Here's Dimitri. Hi, Dimitri. Thanks for joining me today.
Hi, Amie. Thanks for having me.
It's a little bit of a rainy day here in Montreal, but it's probably the end of your day as it is the end of mine, and we should celebrate with a drink, perhaps?
Absolutely.
That is the podcast. That's what we're here
Cheers.
for. Cheers. What do you have there?
So I chose a Paloma for a drink today. I find it's a nice, refreshing summer drink.
Okay, so what's in that for anybody who doesn't know a Paloma?
So the recipe varies from place to place.
Mm-hmm.
I like using fresh grapefruit, a little bit of soda, and tequila. So it's very simple. I know some other places they use grapefruit soda instead.
Like the Mexican sodas.
I like the more natural. I like the more natural taste of the actual grapefruit, but I've tried both, and they're both very good.
Is that on the menu at any of your terraces right now?
I think we have it at a few of our terraces. Yeah, we started it last year, I think, and it sells very well.
Okay, yeah, I mean it's a simple drink. It's so refreshing, like you said, the grapefruit. It's a perfect summer sipper.
Yeah.
I wanted to double you with the tequila concept, and I went with a more classic margarita with the salt rim. So I thought we could start with the lightning round. So you get to know, so I can get to know you a little better. I was going to say so we can get to know each other a little better, but it's mostly you. Sweet or salty?
Salty.
Salty. What's your favorite dessert?
Tiramisu. Definitely coffee, yeah.
Oh, okay, so it's the coffee more than the chocolate?
Yeah. I enjoy chocolate desserts, but I like the coffee in tiramisu.
Okay. We'll talk about affogato later maybe then.
Yeah.
Wine, cocktail, or beer?
It depends on the context and my mood, but I tend to be doing a lot more cocktails at restaurants now because I feel like they put a lot of effort into them, so I want to try them out.
Okay.
But I also like trying out like natural and orange wines at restaurants because I feel at home it's a little harder if you don't know what you're doing, you know. So
okay, so yeah, we'll come back to NELLi, your new wine bar,
absolutely.
Specifically natural wine bar. I don't know if I said that in the intro, so that's interesting. And favorite restaurant that your family's business has ever opened over the years you've been involved? I know it's a hard one, right?
It's a hard one. I mean, it's hard to pick a favorite. I've been involved with coming up with the concepts, design, menus since like mid 2000s. I've been involved in all of them, so it's hard to pick one of those. But I do have a soft spot for our original restaurants. So the Vieux-Port Steakhouse. I mean, I grew up in that restaurant. Like I was opened in like the 70s as a diner, and like I kind of saw it evolve from a diner to a brochetterie to a steakhouse, and I worked there. And my father would bring me when I was young, so like it'll always be special. And I guess Modavie as well, because that's the first restaurant I was involved in the opening, and I was a manager when I was like 18 there, and like I've seen that one grow and actually participated in, fixing things in the kitchen and getting things to where it is now.
Yeah, I feel like half of Montreal has grown up in the Vieux-Port Steakhouse, or maybe on their first date when they wanted to go hear some live jazz, they go to Modavie or something like that.
Absolutely. I run into old friends and they told me, I remember when we worked busboys together that year, and I'm like, oh yeah, we all worked together, so.
Yeah, well, definitely goes back. Your family has a long history in the Old Port there, and everyone has a good story about it. Okay, so best restaurant meal of your life overall?
Okay, so I think the one I'm gonna go with is a place in Rome called Roscioli. The place itself is like a deli and restaurant, but it's really a restaurant that just has a nice deli display in front, and it's just incredible fresh pasta. We had like fresh homemade mortadella and cacio e pepe, like forget which one. I think it was like a tonarello gricia or something like that. It was just really, really good, simple but like delicious Italian food. And I mean, like I could have picked like a tasting menu somewhere else, but I just that one like on the same trip we went back twice, and I think I've been back two more times since. So just to give you an idea of how much I love that place.
I hope you'll open something like that in Montreal in the future, maybe.
Well, I thought it was a bit of the inspiration for Jacopo.
Okay.
I'm not gonna claim that we're at that level, but we definitely are striving for something like that.
Okay. So if you're not eating out at a restaurant, which I'm sure you're doing all the time, what's your favorite dish to cook at home?
So I've been making a lot of halibut lately. We started. I think I made it like before the quarantine, but lately we've been making it a lot, and I just like it with some like lemon, butter, and capers.
Oh, really
So
nice, simple.
it's a very easy dish. It's fresh. It's and a little bit richer because of the butter. And I like sometimes I put a bit of like salami or chorizo or something just to add a little bit of spice and
Yeah, a little body too.
Fattier, yeah.
Yeah, for sure. What's your favorite dish on one of your company restaurants' menus?
That's another tough one.
I know.
Yeah, I do like the fresh pasta a lot at Jacopo, but like if I'm going for more meat, there's the lamb at Modavie is a classic. The dry aged meat at Maggie I love, and like we do a lot of takeout at home for the family, so a lot of Bevo and Kyo for sushi. So yeah, it's hard to pick one item. So we definitely opened a lot of different restaurants to have a good variety. So.
Is the lamb at Modavie? I'm wrecking the lightning round now. I always wreck the lightning round,
That's
but
fine,
I'm just curious: is the lamb at Modavie the same lamb that was at Cuisine de Tawa back in the day?
I'm sure it's not the same dish, but it's I think at X we used to do a lot more jarret.
Yeah, because it was 48-hour braised or whatever.
Yes, exactly, yeah. So we've done jarret at Modavie before, but the one we've had from the beginning has always been the rack lamb.
Right.
It's a pretty popular dish, yeah.
Okay. I asked about the Cuisine de Tawa because I have a very strong memory of going there maybe the first or second year I lived in Montreal more than a decade ago, and we had already eaten our appetizers, and that dish came as the main course, and we just both stared at it and went, oh my gosh, it's the size of the dinner plate and it looks amazing. And it was so amazing. And then when that restaurant closed, because you're always reinventing all of your restaurants.
Some of them, yeah, absolutely.
It was that feeling of, oh, I'm never going to have that lamb again.
I know.
You must have so many of those kinds of connections to your restaurants.
Absolutely. We actually did have. I remember going for dinner at X like the night before we closed, so we could start renovating for Kyo. And I love that restaurant. It was a good spot. The food was really good. It just like we opened that before like the Montreal scene completely changed, and it was a little bit of a bit too heavy in the ambiance, and like and we kind of like lost out a bit on the crowd we were going for that place. Yeah.
So that's in the basement of the Place d'Armes Hotel, right?
Yes.
And Kyo is in there, and so like I figure about your company. What I've kind of understood over the years is that you're always looking for whatever's popular next. And Kyo, the kind of the Japanese influence, the cocktails, that was kind of the next trend there. Is that accurate?
Yeah, I mean, definitely we're looking at what's on trend. The idea, though, is like we do want to open our restaurants to be around for a long time. So, I mean, we have made some changes over the years because, a lot of restaurants were opened like 20, 30 years ago. Some of them a bit less, but like I think we've made restaurants now that are more attuned to what's happening for locals as well, not just for people that used to come to Old Montreal for
right.
tourism.
Not just tourists, yeah.
And I think maybe 20, 30 years ago, that's all there was in Old Montreal. So a lot of the restaurants were just geared towards tourists. And I think
Mm.
we've changed that now. So I feel like none of our restaurants are that anymore. And it was very important to us because Old Montreal has changed a lot. It's
Yeah.
not at all what it used to be. And the competition has also changed, and I'm very happy about that because like now we have locals all year long there. It's great.
Yeah, and especially right now, you can't depend on tourists.
Of course,
I
yeah,
mean, you've had your legs cut out from under you in that sense
yeah,
with COVID right now. I had four more questions for the lightning round, but I feel like we
yeah,
should just jump in and talk about that because that's kind of the major thing that's happening right now. Like, what's
yeah.
going on with your restaurants? You closed everywhere when you had to close everywhere, and then you've slowly been opening up. What's open right now? What's still closed?
So we decided to actually open everything. That was the plan. We did make some changes. Like we focused on like because our restaurants are pretty much open all the time, lunch, brunch, dinner. Some of them are open for breakfast as well with the hotels. And we did close some of them for lunch because it's very quiet in Old Montreal. I
Yeah,
mean,
if you don't have the
nobody's
office
in the office.
workers
Yeah,
and you don't have the tourism,
yeah.
then that makes
So
sense.
we did keep the patios. Any restaurant that had patios for lunch, we opened those.
Mm.
And the like for example, Vieux-Port has a big outdoor space. Vieux-Port Steakhouse. Kio has a terrace. Jacopo, Maggie Oakes, and Méchant Boeuf, Modavie didn't have a big terrace. We closed those for lunch, and so I mean I think it paid off because now those are busier, but the ones that I don't think there were enough people to sustain all of them.
Yeah.
At nighttime, all our places are open, and but again, like mostly the rooftops and the terraces do really well,
Yeah.
and the others are doing okay. It's like not the same levels at all as the past. But
Yeah. And who's
yeah.
going now? Like when you're talking about tourists and you're talking about locals, what's the percentage of tourists and locals? I mean, local tourists, essentially, I guess, from Quebec and Ontario, maybe, but
Yeah.
percentage-wise, what's the breakdown?
It's hard to tell exactly with the restaurants, but like for example, Modavie has always had a lot of a lot of tourists, and like if you look at the phone numbers on Open Table and like on Saturday night, you still see a lot of Ontario.
Mm.
So we are getting some Ontario tourists.
Yeah.
I see a lot of young people, it's like really young compared to our normal crowd. So
Yeah,
we
like
usually
how
have
age? What
I mean,
age?
really young. I mean, we always have a young crowd, but we're seeing a lot of under 30, let's say, where we used to have a good mix of anywhere between 25 to 50.
Yeah.
So that's our target.
I remember when I felt too young to go to some of your places.
Okay.
That is not the case anymore.
Yeah.
And what about your hotels and who's staying there?
So we are getting a lot of locals. We've been doing a lot of like locals only and staycation packages to really attract that market. So we are getting a lot of like one night stays and stuff like that. But we are getting some tourists from the rest of Quebec and from Ontario.
That makes sense. And what occupancy compared to most summers?
It's low. It's like
Yeah, I
like
imagine.
during the week we get to like 10, 15, 20 rooms.
Oh
Some weekends we
wow.
get a lot more than that. We are looking at a decent August. I mean decent. Like we
Yeah,
usually have
better
a
than
90.
March or May,
Yeah,
you know.
yeah. We
Yeah.
usually have like a 90% plus. It sells out in this time of year, but we're looking at around 20, 25% depending on the hotel. So
Are there
it's
discounts or
not a lot.
deals or like are you offering
Yeah, yeah,
the
for sure.
staycation stuff? Okay, yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
And so you're also doing delivery, right? At some of the
Yeah.
restaurants? Is that
Yeah.
new? Like you wouldn't have done that except for COVID.
We started delivery with Bevo a while ago because it made sense with the pizza.
Right.
And then in March or April, I don't remember when we started, we decided to start Kio because there was a lot of demand for sushi.
Yeah, tell me
And
about
then
it.
Maggie Oakes, which worked more as a takeout window than delivery. And now, like because of happening Gourmand that we're starting, we partnered with DoorDash, and we're actually putting all our places on delivery to try it out, and we'll see how that goes. And we're kind of getting ready to see because we don't know what's going to happen. When the terraces close, or hopefully there's not a second wave that forces restaurants to close.
Yeah.
Like we just have to be ready. We don't know what to prepare for. So
Yeah. Are you hoping to transition to doing your own delivery, or are you going to stay with DoorDash? It's good enough.
we're using DoorDash and Uber. We have started working with a program called You Eat that does it's like an online ordering platform, and they have a deal with DoorDash which it has like a significantly lower amount. It's not a percentage based, but like a fixed fee.
Oh, okay.
So that's something that's interesting. I think if we're forced to do a lot of delivery moving forward, we might have to consider it.
Yeah, that's what I hear from a lot of restaurants. It's just it's not financially viable to work directly with these companies. So if you got to make it work, especially if you don't have things like Happening Gourmand happening in the fall. So let's talk about that. So that's a restaurant event that's been happening for how many years now?
I think it's our 13th year this year.
13, and it happens a couple times a year, or is it just in summer?
It's normally just in January.
Right. Okay.
So this is our first summer edition. We decided to do it. We started talking about it during the quarantine, and we're like, okay, I don't know how busy it's going to be. We were looking at other jurisdictions, and we were just throwing out ideas. And when we opened up, we realized that the terraces are doing well. The dining rooms are having a little bit harder time, and one of the other things we noticed is that people come out very late. Like we're getting a lot of dinner guests at 9:00.
Huh.
So we decided to do it and actually push more. We're not like limiting it to the dining rooms, but it's not available on the rooftops. It's only in the restaurants.
Okay.
It's available on the terrace as well if there's room, but it's first come first serve. Mm-hmm. And we decided to do menus until 7:30. So if you order before 7:30, you get access to the menu. Some restaurants are keeping it on all night. Because it's just to attract more people, but the goal is really to get people to come out a bit earlier, come out during the week, and yeah.
Okay, so for anybody who doesn't know, who's watching or listening, this the Happening Gourmand. There are discounts on dinner and brunch table d'hôte menus, and so you can go. It's just dinners. There's no lunches involved, and it's at all or most of your Old Port restaurants.
Yeah,
I believe.
They're all the restaurants except for Versus, which is not yet open. So yeah.
Okay. And you are offering some of these menus for delivery for anyone who doesn't want to be in the restaurant right now. So how's that going? I mean, how has the response been so far? It only started a few days ago, but
it takes a little while to kick off, and because we're also doing it over 4 weeks, it's like it typically ramps up as we move along.
But the conversation that you had then, like, was that a very difficult decision to make? Were you worried to implement that, or is it only just net positive for you, no matter what extra business you get?
I think it's net positive. I think well, definitely, it does lower our revenue a little, or average check. But that being said, it's like the people who are already coming, I mean, you see this type of event in New York and in Miami and even in Montreal in Montreal Table. The people who are already going out are just gonna get what they want to get, So, but there's some people who are looking for an opportunity to come try it out. So the menu's there, and I think at the end of the day, it's positive because more people get to know the place, and even if we make a little bit less on the average check, people are coming in, they're going to have a drink. Hopefully they'll like it and come back. So that's the idea. Yeah.
So I used to, when I was a poor student, I used to hunt through all of these, table d'hôte deals and look for the best one. What would be the foodie opportunity? What would be the best opportunity for me? And what's cool about all of your restaurants is you have a very wide variety of options. If you want sushi, if you want a steak, if you want, whatever, a sando, you can have whatever you like. So what do you think the best deal is of Happening Gourmand right now?
I think they're all good deals. I'm not.
Of course they are. Yeah.
I know, of course, but I mean that's the goal, right? It's like we didn't want to just put like something in it would be the same price as getting it a la carte. But I think there are nice opportunities. Like I think Kio is fun because you get to try a lot of different things, for a set price, which is not always easy, especially. If you're not going with a big group, you sometimes you can only order one or two things.
Yeah.
I think that's good. Jacopo is fun because it's a bit of a newer restaurant, so it's a nice way to discover it.
What's on the menu there?
Good question.
I'll look it up while you tell me another one.
A lot of pasta dishes, I know, and some interesting appetizers.
Okay.
And I mean, I think it's a cool way to discover our nighttime menu at NELLi as well, since it's brand new.
Right. Yeah. So there you have an all-day menu, and it goes into the evening, and it's a natural wine bar. So why did you decide to open that right now? Because as much as it's strange to most people that you'd be throwing a restaurant event in the first place, it also is foreign to a lot of people, the idea of opening a restaurant right now.
Yeah. Well, we had started doing the renos for that in March. We've been talking about it since in the end of last year, and it was the idea was to benefit the NELLi, the hotel, because it's the main area of the hotel.
Mm-hmm.
Also to kind of give to freshen up the entrance for Versus, because that bar area was it was popular when we first opened 15, 18 years ago. But slowly, it's been we use it for cocktails, we use it for breakfast, but it was kind of prime real estate on St. Paul Street, and for a big chunk of the day it was empty.
Right.
So we decided, it was something that we wanted to add for the hotel, and we thought it was a good opportunity. So we added the cafe, and obviously we wanted to keep the bar component at night, and the natural wine component was a nice way to make it interesting for not only hotel guests, but also for locals and for tourists and for anybody passing by.
Yeah.
We wanted it to be an easy, accessible space that was nice to look at, and to be in, to be relaxing, but also with great breakfast, great lunch, nice wine, cocktails, dinner.
Is it an exterior space, or is it all interior?
It's all interior, but it's like an inner courtyard. There's
it's like open, very open.
A big glass atrium. It's open on 5 floors, so you feel like you're in a European small lane. And the windows open up in the front, so in the summertime it feels very airy.
Yeah, I've been into the Hotel NELLi a number of times, and I was trying to think. You walk in, I think it's to the right. Then where is the NELLi area?
When you walk into the lobby of the hotel, it's actually to the left.
Oh, okay.
If you go straight ahead, there's it's basically the bar. Yeah.
Okay, that makes sense. My cousin got married there, so
okay, cool.
Fond memories of the bar.
Yeah.
The Jacopo menu for the secondi, you got a ravioli di zucca with squash ravioli with sage brown butter, the orecchietti con rapini and salsiccia, the rapini with sausage and white wine. That's probably the ones you were thinking about.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
the lobster fregula, with the lobster meat with the pasta and dill and orange. But what's looking good to me is the carpaccio duo, the smoked cod, black cod, and smoked trout carpaccio antipasto.
Yeah.
So maybe
the food's really good there. I love it there.
Yeah, $29 table d'hôte, just so you know. Obviously, but so everybody else knows. That was the first half of my conversation with Dimitri Antonopoulos. I'll be back next week for the second half of that chat, and you can find all the places we mentioned in this episode on the show notes wherever you got this podcast. Follow me at Miss Watson, that's Watson with 2 T's, on Instagram, and at my blog, multiculturosity.com. Have a great week, and sip something delicious wherever you are.